Hello again everyone, welcome back. Thanks for visiting once again. I seem to have not thrown away any paper clips from my recent model review of the Corsair there, which was well, that wasn't very good housekeeping, was it? So I need to get rid of those. So let's have those away, shall we? Just to show you that these things are not edited. As I've said, I never edit videos, and so if I forget something then or do something wrong, it's probably worthwhile you seeing it. So we'll carry on with the Focke Wulf Fw190 A8 on this day, and hopefully you'll enjoy having a look at what we're going to do here, which is essentially to make some sub-assemblies up and to add some more bits and pieces onto the main body here. So where we've come really effectively is to put the engine and cowling section on and get that attached. That tends to fit where it touches, and it doesn't touch in many places. In great style, as usual, we've knocked the aerial boom at the back here, and good old Tronner's made a suggestion about how I might deal with that, and I should really cover it in some cardboard or something like that. I'm just going to put that away actually somewhere else. That's for another project, a little 172 scale Spitfire, which I'm not screening. I might show you a picture of it at the end, but there we are. But as I say, what we've done, we've put the engine and cowling in, and we've also put the, shall we say, the machine gun cover on the top here. We've got some gap filling to do, and we might do a little bit of that today, but I'm going to put the components on that I want to put on today, which would include these panels and some of the machine guns and so on, and there may be some reason to grind out some of these holes here and so on and so forth, but we'll just depict that in the instructions so that you can see it. So let's bring them into play here. So we've got through what they call the nose installation, which is section 8, and what I haven't done is put the machine gun barrels in, because they're a different colour to the main body of the aircraft, and I want to make certain that they're the correct colour. It would be rather irksome to have to mask that, so it makes sense to put it in later. So what we will do is we'll make up the, well, we'll just clean up the and assemble K34 and K32, K33 and then K34, which are the scissor jacks and the suspension here. We'll put in the machine guns here and here and there and there, and this panel on, and we'll have a think about what we might do about these, but I suspect these components will want painting before they're put in, so we'll do that, and we'll then add in some of these components here. I'm not going to add in the pitot here. It has a name, I can't remember what it is at this moment in time, but maybe on the next video we'll show you, we'll say what that was. Put this component in, so we'll get that as far as we can through. We'll see if we can do the canopy assembly and so on, but this is pretty near the final bit really, and I said that I would look at the propeller as well, so if there's time to do that, then we'll do that as well. So let's get straight on. We want the K-sprue to begin with, and by great good fortune we have the K-sprue right here. So what we can do is to just, I'm going to move that off camera for a minute and put that away over in my little ditty box over there, and then we'll start to remove these components here. And I don't normally do the, shall we say, the basics here when I'm undertaking these projects, but you might as well see how I operate with these things. It's you know, I don't know that it's a good thing or a bad thing. Hopefully it's a good thing. Let's have a little magnifier under there actually, just for a minute. I just want to make sure I get these scissor jacks in correctly. Yes, okay, so what we have here is a section of just in here that thins, and that will be where one detaches them. As I've said before, my roomy old eyes are getting to the point where I can't see these things particularly well up close. Take that out. Oh, that's not quite out there. This is one of the things one has to be a bit careful with here, so we'll just turn the angle here and just zero in. I can't zero in there, can I? As you can see, what I did there was I didn't quite detach the section just here, and as a result of which I've just torn the styrene here. Fortunately, because I've made the cut away from the part, I haven't damaged the part itself, so we're going to have to exercise a little more care in the next one, and so we have done. And I'll do the same on this side as well. There we go. Right, so I'll just lift that away, and that gives us extra light. Just zero out just a little bit. We're at 1x magnification, and actually most of the components we're going to need today are actually on this sprue anyway. There's that funny little pitot there. It has a little tweaker on the end of it as well, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on. There's some very delicate parts on this which I didn't really point out during the course of my my examination of this kit, which I really ought to have done. So there we are. We'll take off those two components there, those two wheel components, and see, those are a bit loose, so I have to be quite careful removing them. So we've got those wheel components there, so well, let's concentrate on them to begin with. And we use a sanding stick here. We just use a 600 grit. These are something called Infini, which are quite good, and work quite well. They're rather hard wearing. I bought these, I suppose, a few years ago, and they seem to last pretty well. And I don't think I've replaced any yet, and they seem to be quite good. You have alternatives, obviously, that you can use. We can use a slightly coarser one, by which I do not mean a stick that uses lots of bad language, but is of a coarser grade. So there we are. So we can smooth that up, and we'll test the fit of those presently when we've done the rest of the cleanup. So we use a Mark 1 fingernail just to test the finish of our fit there. Yeah, we can see that's gone, and we can take the burrs off there as well. We'll do the same. Oh, we'll do the same with this one as well. So that's that done. There's only one sprue mark there that we need to be really particularly bothered with. I'll use the coarse stick again. I'll just leave that in view there. So these were some other sticks that I bought quite early on, but they're quite useful. Some of these things you can cut in half quite easily, and these help with cleanup. You have really a variety of tools that you can choose from, metal files all the way down to these sort of sticks, and you know, these kind of things as well. I mean, there's a variety of you know, grits that you can use. I have 400 and 800 and 600, and I mean, this one's 600 and 1000, which takes things extremely smooth, and this one goes out to 1000 as well. That's a newer one. And then you have what do we call these? Skinny sticks, I suppose. That's quite coarse, that one. This one's slightly less so, and this one's really very, very smooth. So there are lots of options that you can use. Then you have all these little things, these clear filing systems. These are particularly good for not flat spotting areas on flat surfaces, because they're obviously they're made of glass, they're absolutely flat, and allow you to take off sprue nibs very easily. I think I've demonstrated these before, but they have the effect of polishing the surface as well. You can probably see that there, it's gone shiny, and the surface itself is now really very shiny. So again, we'll just do that, just smooth them off. So we're done there with those. So we'll just cut off these sections here, these sprue nibs here. Make sure we don't get anything in the way, and we have seams to remove, so we can just zero in and show you that we have seams to remove there. Now, the way I remove seams I've found to be reasonably effective is to use a sharp blade. So what we can do with that is get a straight blade like this, and then we can just run the blade, the side of the blade down the work. Hardly even know why I'm telling you this. Of course you'll know how to do this already, and little bits of material come away, and the legend of a seam line disappears, and you can go into these areas here, and you have the advantage of not taking off any material that you don't absolutely wish to remove. So we'll just gently lever this. I know we're cutting towards my finger here, so we're going to have to be quite careful. That's a sprue nib there, so what we might do is we might just cut that away like that, and then we can cut that away. What we'll do is we'll use one of these little skinny sticks here. See, that's quickly taken the burr off there, and allowed us to be able to make that smooth. Same here, and the same here as well. So I can do that on the other side as well. You can see where the mark is there. And we can use the light to help us, because the light will make a little legend for us, and it will show us where the sharp line is, and we've just gone straight onto it there. So we can just turn this backwards and forwards in this way, and away we go. So we can just do that. We'll take that sprue nib off there. Just going to have a quick look at that in a minute. Yes, there's our sprue nib there, so we can just... Oh, that's gone out of focus. I wonder why that's happened. That's better. I think you can probably see that a little better now. So what we can do with that is just rub that gently there to bring that down to nearly nothing. As you can see with the little skinny sticks, the stick moves off the target area quite easily, quite quickly actually. You've got to be quite careful with this, and remember, we want to try and avoid flat spotting this if we can avoid it. Just going to go for something a little more sturdy than that. I'm going to use a blade as well. We're not far off actually having done that. See where that's not quite smooth there. we go down here, we can see the cleanup working and going exactly as we want it to. And there's a sprue nib to remove right at this end here, so I'll cut that right up to the work and ditch that. We don't want that, do we? So we want to be reasonably careful with that, and given that this is the hole where the well, this is the pole where the what's it called? Wheel, the landing wheel goes in, so we want to be quite careful with that. I think we're about there now. I think that mark will show through if there we go. There, that's gone now, so that's that cleanup done. Now what you can do, if you've got bits of errant plastic left over, you can give this a light. Oh, there's a uniform area there, which looks like it might be, looks like an extractor mark to me. It's the same on both sides. I'm going to assume that that is meant to be there. So there we go. So that's the first one done, so we can put that over there with our work completed. Let's take off that. Where did that go? Let's put the gash bits away so that we can do good housekeeping. There's another gash bit there. Just leave those there. Ah, there it is. So I'll carry on. Just carry on like this. I've slightly flat spotted that, but that doesn't matter so much because that's going into a spot where it won't be seen, so that's okay. Right, so that's a sprue nib there, and that's a sprue nib there. So what we've found actually in this is a little deficiency here, just there, and that's a sink mark. So it's not a scheduled hole, so we're going to need to deal with that. That's something we do want, so we don't want to get rid of that. So what we'll do is we'll go into the magnifier again and come back. There we go. So it's quite difficult sometimes to file circular sections. One has to have one's wits about one, and it's easy to flat spot them. But what you can do is you can turn the work like this and move the file like that, and this action will maintain a curve. For those of you that don't know that, maybe there are some people around who weren't aware of that. I realise that I may very well be stating the blindingly obvious to many of you, of course, and my good friend Steve's Vintage Model Builds, he's a very good model builder, and he's engaged in doing lots and lots of new kit reviews at this moment. Oh, there's another sink mark there to deal with. So we see another one there, little hole. These are little moulding deficiencies that we find from time to time, and you know, we just have to deal with them as we go. It's part of a modeller's trials and shall we say, tribulations. So we'll deal with them as we go, and that's easily enough to deal with, isn't it? So we'll just take that there. So anyway, I was saying about good old Steve over there in Canada, and he's to say he's doing lots of kit reviews at this moment in time. He's done I think recently a First World War tank, which was quite interesting, and go and have a little visit of him and see where you are, and you know, see what you think about armour. I'm sure that lots of you do enjoy building that. And whilst you're there, if you've got 5 minutes after that, go and visit Rims Models over at the internet. There we are. That's a stupid thing to say, wasn't it? Rims Models over at the internet. Since when was the internet a place? Well, I suppose some people think it is, really, but anyway. He's just finished a Panther with internal detail, which is absolutely bloody outstanding. Is a super bit of work, absolutely wonderful. So I've reasoned that those little round areas are in fact moulding problems, and we'll just remove them, and we can demonstrate that filing in a circle arrangement. So there you go, just like that, as Tommy Cooper might say, although not in quite the confident and expert way that I've just said it, of course. We have to be careful here we don't ruin some of the surface detail that we can see, and we have to hold the file slightly away on one side, but we can still get rid of that detail there. So I think that's all of that. So as far as these two components are concerned, as far as I'm aware, these lower sections from here to here and there to there are chrome. They're going to be coloured chrome, so you can use your gloss black undercoat and then your shiny chrome on top, and that should come up with a nice mirror finish. So a bit of masking required there. The rest of this will be the I think it's called the RLM green or something like that. You know, the same colour as used in the underside of the wheelbase. So there we are. The other thing that we can see is that, as you can probably see there, the lug that fits to the underside of the what's it called, the underside of the aircraft is slightly off-centered, and we can show you that. And I think what we find is those will fit in like that, so they're slightly facing outwards. Yes, that's how that will work. Yes, that will. Now I've got some paint in these little square holes here, so I'm going to have to refit those, so we'll come back to that another time. But that will do on camera for you. So the next thing to look at here is these scissor jacks, and actually establishing where they fit. I suspect they fit there like that by the looks of things. Let's just check the instructions. So let's orientate these correctly. So I want that one to face that way, so the scissor jack fits in behind there like that. That would appear to be the place where it fits. Yes, there's a hinge point there for it. Let's see if it's handed at all. Right. Yes, it is handed. So this here is the upper section. Let's just show you that. So these are things to be aware of. That's the upper section there, which fits into that slot there, and it fits in quite snugly, so you can see it fits in. And there's the lower section, which is, as you can see, slightly wider. So there's a small amount of clean-up to be done there, but that will glue straight in at that stage by the look of things. That would appear to be how that will work. Yeah, I think we can do it that way. Let's have a quick look at this. Yes, that's so we'll just give these a bit of a clean up. We make those slightly circular because I suspect that's what they're supposed to look like, and do the same down here as well. Let's just move this onto camera because we're looking at very small components there. Oh, no, that's disappeared. There we go. That looks to be the way that that fits. Can't quite see that. Magnifier again. Actually, yeah, that's the spot where it should go. And I need to just get that 600 grit stick there. And look again. Yes, okay, so here we go. Look, so you can see how that fits in, and it fits in just nicely into there like that. And that's, again, as I said, it's quite a snug fit. So here's the advantage of doing this, shall we say, according to Hoyle with the magnifier, because you then get the correct components filed down to the correct level. I didn't intend to do all of this on camera, but actually what it does do is highlight to some extent the degree of work required in actually bringing this whole thing together. So here we are 27 minutes out, and we've not actually glued anything together yet. We've done some part preparation, so you can see the shall we say, if you're a newer modeler, maybe you are a newer modeler, you know, it may be the case that you're just sort of coming into this to begin with for the first time. You can see the degree of there's sections that need to be removed there. The degree of preparation that's required for this, I mean, it's to you more experienced modelers, this is going to be, I would suggest, much less interesting. And to you, I apologise. It's not, you know, it's not the greatest of things to have to watch. You know, things like seam cleanup and preparation and all that sort of thing. It's not really what you want to be doing. There's some flash there as well. What we'll do is we'll take a, you can see how that's brought that piece of flash up there. You can see it there. Yeah, so there's an imperfection in there. You can see that there, a sink mark as well. Now, the question I suppose one should ask oneself is, does that show? Oh, that's the wrong way up. There we go. Just shows how easy it is to do this. There we go. That's how that should be. And as you can see, that section fits absolutely perfectly, but we do need to address this particular little seam here. Now, what I'm inclined to do there actually is to glue those in. Just going to look at the back of that again, just to, yeah, see there's some sink mark type of arrangements, just to take a, see if we can just smooth those away just a little bit. Yes, that will show an awful lot less. But lots of gentle work to do here, so there we go. There we are. Now what I can do with that is I can attack that with some Mr. Surfacer 500 a bit later, and we can deal with those seam lines there. So those are those two sections there, and these two sections, as you can see, of these wheels, they're keyed, so we can get them together, and they, you attend to them well. They fit without much of a gap, much of a seam, which is good. Now we may want to flat spot a section of this wheel in order to allow us to just put them away over there a minute. We want to flat spot a section of this. Now, here's what happens to your brush if you move the brush when you're slightly close to running out of glue. When you move your brush down the shaft of where the lid is. So what I did is put some blue tack in there. Move that along there, and hopefully if we get this right, all we'll need to do is just run a smooth file across the seam here, and it should then disappear. I slightly got too much glue there. If you do that, don't try and wipe it off with your finger, just leave it to evaporate on its own, and you'll have it sorted there. So that's that. Again, we can see the key here. There's a key point there and then a key point in there, which should allow us to put those two units together, and we can then sight these two things together. As you can see, if you get that slightly out of kilter, you see the shadow, it comes and goes. There we go. So we want to get those as near as we can. When you get that as near as possible, then we can just glue that in there, and capillary action will allow the glue to wick through to the joint and then have this away. This is the huge advantage of extra thin glues that we can use here. And I didn't realise this would become something of a tutorial when I planned to do this today, but so it seems to have done. So I mean, for you seasoned modelers that for some reason tune into my meanderings, thanks for coming this far with me. And for you new modelers, actually, I suppose what I should say is, as I ever do, this is all about simple procedures and getting the procedures right early. And the idea is, from my point of view anyway, is if Zin can, you can, and I take that view and always have done. So what I can do with that is, yeah, I'll glue them in, and then I can put something in, just a little dab of a Mr. Surfacer 500, because this brush is a lot more precise than my extra thin brush. I can do that. Let's do this on camera, maybe you'll be able to see that, eh? and this is the lighter blue colour cap. This is extra thin, quick setting. Just apply into there and then into there. The same on the other side here. I seem to have used this glue very quickly, and that had to do with the fact that I had a bit of a spillage a couple of weeks ago when I contrived to throw my glue onto the workbench here, this grey background that you can see. Just hold that for a few seconds there, and I can turn it round. So as you can see with these Hasegawa models, the fits on most of these components is really quite outstanding, and puts you in a position of having an awful lot of making things a lot easier. So let's zero out again, and so we've actually accomplished in 36 minutes step 9 effectively, but we haven't glued the tyres onto the wheels onto the oleo struts. I'm not going to do that yet, so what we'll do is we'll put those in there like that. Try and keep good housekeeping going on here. Put the old poker there, and we'll put the knife away over there, keep the files to hand. So we'll bring our model back, our Focke Wulf, and we'll look at the parts X1 and X2, which are here. So we have W1 and W2 and X1 and X2. I'm not quite sure why we have those, probably because this model actually was designed for more than one. Tell you what, we'll take that away for a minute and bring it back in a second. It was designed for more than one, shall we say, variant, so we'll have some sections left over. So we've now got straight sections to clean up here, so for the straight sections, what we can do is we can use this. So I've got two choices. I've got the small and the large, and so we can just run the file along them. And the huge advantage you have is that when you're done on this filing, the file goes quiet, so it jars along a rough surface, and then on a smooth surface it doesn't make any noise at all. So what you have is as you can see there, a polished surface. So that's not polished there. So we can look at this one now, and we can say, right, just along that surface there, and there's nary a touch, and that surface is now polished. So we can do the same here. Yeah, so you see, you might have heard that just go quiet when the rough surface disappeared. We'll try to do the same thing here, and we'll listen carefully because the microphone's quite sensitive. So see, goes quiet, and we can run our thumb across those, and whilst we can see a sprue mark here, it's absolutely smooth, and the surface, even if we examine it in some significant detail, has no legend on it, so we haven't damaged the surface at all. Zip out there, and we've put ourselves in a position where we can start to look at installing these components. As you can see, they're sided and they slot straight in like that very easily. Now they're slightly loose, well this one is anyway, interesting. So that's slightly loose. I'm going to have my wits about me on that one. And this one is slightly tight. Now why would that be? There's a mark there. I'll just get rid of that. It's just a little sink mark in the back there. Maybe there's some flash boundaries on this that might need to be taken off. Now I don't think that I've removed any. Oh, there we go. Yeah, there were some flash boundaries there, I think. And that should fit flush and is not doing so. So there's some material to be taken off there as well. Yes. So that fits flush on that side. So let's do a quick comparison between one side and the other. We'll take the files out the way. Let's put them up there so we don't damage any surfaces. Yes, there are some areas where I think we might need to just smooth down these surfaces just to make sure that we get these absolutely in, because that fits flush and this one doesn't. And that would be irksome if we had to take them out after having glued them and refit them. So again, we take some attention to detail. I'm leaving the model here because I want to use it to fit, so that's quite important really. And we're just using a 400 sander here just to make sure that we've got all the material. Now we don't have to take much material away, we don't have to go at this like a proverbial bullet a gate, and we can just see how we get along. You see, that's much better. Those surfaces are much more even, so slightly up in this corner here, yeah, in this corner here. So I'll just apply the file gently to this. Just we only want to remove tiny amounts of material here. We don't want to be we don't want to indulge in overkill here. And we can just use again the old Mark 1 fingernail technique just to test the step here. Still is a bit of a step, so let's move that away just off over there. So we have to be very, very careful with this. We don't need to go at this very hard. I know I keep repeating that, but it's as much for my own benefit as it is for anybody else's. That's better. Right, so we've got that one. So let's just look at this one just quickly. Oh, I think that'll be a delivery. I've ordered some things and the dog's now going, there he is, the dog's going mental because the delivery person's arrived. He's going to have to wait because I'm in the middle of doing something for modelling land. There you are. This just to prove to you that these things are not edited. Right, I'm going to take a little bit of material off this one here because there's just a small amount that, on that side there. So we'll just, and we're talking about not very much at all, really. Yeah, so I think the dog has now seen off the delivery man. Good for him. And then we'll take a look at that. Perfect, there you go. So we fitted those now. So I think the best thing for me to do right now is to actually fit them in, and to do that I'm going to use some of the white cap cement here, just do good housekeeping. So I'm just going to put my glasses back on because I had to take them off to rub my eye, and so I'm going to dab a bit of cement into this section and then drop that in, and it'll allow me hopefully to sight this correctly, and with any luck it'll stick itself in. Yeah, that hasn't worked. So what we'll have to do is that instead. So there we go. Now that's now stuck, I believe. So what we'll need to do, well, that was careless, wasn't it? Did you see what I did there? I just spilt glue on this, so immediately clear that away. And I will be getting another modelling table at some stage, because this is an old computer desk which has the advantage of being on wheels, which means that you can move it away, move it around, but the wheels, because it's chipboard, the wheels sometimes fall off if you move them too much. So my advice to anybody with a modelling table that's a computer desk, don't move them too much, because the wheels will fall off and then you're left holding the unit, as it were, and thinking, what am I going to do now? This thing's going to fall over at any minute. I'm just going to glue up to those edges there, having learnt my lesson from the last time around, and then we can drop that panel in there and get that sighted, and that's sighted there. Yeah, so I think they're pretty much there. I think we've pretty much sorted that now, and it'll leave us at just about 50 minutes, quite a long section, during which time we haven't really accomplished an awful lot. So I'm going to do the rest of section 10 here off camera and get that sorted out, and then we'll move on to section 11, because we are sort of near the end of this. I have a surprise for everybody on this particular model, so you can guess what that is maybe in the comments if you wish, but I won't answer anybody yet. But to all of you who have watched this far, maybe you learnt something. I hope that you did. I mean, it wasn't intended to be a tutorial, but it seems to have turned into one. So my apologies to you if that bored you. If you did get this far, well, I'm delighted that it was of some benefit to you. But anyway, moving on to the excuse me. Moving on to the next bit. I'll see you again in maybe a week and a half or so, and there'll be quite a lot more done to this by that stage. I'll have completed all the seam filling and also additional of the final components and so on. We'll probably move on to putting some undercoat on it, you know, some primer and so on, and we'll go from there. But hopefully the next time you see this, it'll look a lot more like an aeroplane than it does now. and I hope that you enjoyed this particular excursion into modelling land today, and many thanks to you for your time. I'll see you on the next one, and take care until then. Bye for now.